I returned to the classroom but didn't find him there. Kyosuke, where's Michael? How am I supposed to know? He grumbled in response. Has he been at school today? Maybe he has. What's the matter with you? What's the matter with me? Kyosuke looked at me and frowned. What's the matter with you two? Keeping secrets and expecting me to, what, sit around and throw guesses at a wall? We don't have any secrets. Stop making a fool out of me. First you ask about Ellie-sama, then whisper something about with Michael, thinking I wouldn't notice. But I got it. You decided you want to hook up with her, and Michael's helping you. How could you hide something like that from me? Oh god, Kyosuke, if you knew Ellie a bit better, you wouldn't want to hook up with her. Huh, better? That's the last bit of proof I need. So much better do you know her? That much? He started to make inappropriate gestures with his hands, making me cringe in embarrassment. Stop that. Grabbed him by the wrist. If only you knew how far you are from the truth. Kyosuke stopped and stared at me in confusion. Michael, I reminded him. I think it was to bring something to the staff room. Thank you. I was shifting from one foot to another in front of the staff room, throwing occasional glances at the clock. Entering the room seemed to me like jumping into a tank full of sharks. Students and teachers walked in and out, almost all of them giving me a confused look for a couple seconds, as if I was an unusual piece of art left here by mistake. Finally, there was Michael. We need to talk, I have news. He just nodded in response. When we got to the old wing of the school, the bell rang. She had a very interesting conversation with Kobayashi Ellie, on her initiative, by the way. She said she talked to her grandfather, and he claims Catherine has been kidnapped by the Japanese intelligence. Is that so? Why would they do that? Her mother... Was it a good idea to tell Michael the truth about Mrs. Winters? Guess I had to come clean. Her mother works for the CIA. I see, he said calmly. You see? Well, that's good to hear. I don't think Ellie is lying. At least she believes what she says. Her belief doesn't change anything. I would have been surprised if she had tried to trick you. What are we going to do next? We can't exclude the possibility that she won't be of use anymore. I should be too worried about Kobayashi-san. I just don't like your scorched earth approach. We tried to pressure her and we got some information. So what do you suggest? We give her the negatives and pretend nothing happened? I don't know, I replied honestly. What do you suggest? I think it would be a good idea to bring our ultimatum to Kobayashi Jun's attention directly. The word ultimatum made me flinch. To go all in? To take the next logical step. Well, sounds good in theory, but after you're hit on the head, stuffed into a car, and interrogated in a dark room, it's hard to be that confident. That happened to you? A lot happened to me. Okay, then I'll do it myself. I'll talk to Ellie. Whether she likes it or not, she'll have to tell her grandfather about the photos. Should I go with you? No, you've already done your part. It'll be better if someone else talks to her now. I fucked up my part, is what you wanted to say. You had no choice. It would be stupid to blame Michael for having bad intentions. After all, instead of having this conversation, he could have done everything himself from the start. Something tells me that in my place you'd... Never mind. See you tomorrow then? See you tomorrow. He bid farewell. I'm sure the teachers reacted to Michael's late arrivals much more calmly than mine. So I just left. On the way home, I witnessed a minor car accident. Two drivers couldn't agree on who should take a lane, and one of the cars smashed into the other. Yep. The Japanese Toyota and American Ford. Ooh, not the American. The Ford was left-handed too, a rare sight in Japan. That is interesting. The driver was some foreigner, surprise. In the surrounding noise, I couldn't figure out what language he was speaking. I mean, if he's driving a Ford, I could probably figure it out. The Japanese guy who suffered the accident was calling the police from a telephone box, while the gaijin was running around his car assessing the damage. I had to say that the Ford was much better off than the Toyota, which itself looked pretty comical. In any case, it was dangerous to stay around for too long. The police could take me as a witness. Not that I was in any particular hurry, but I had no desire to deal with the Japanese authorities more than necessary, even in the form of a traffic police. So I entrusted Michael with Catherine's destiny, and it made my stomach turn. I could almost feel my body physically rebelling like a runner halfway through a marathon. The idea that it was all for the sake of rescuing her seemed less persuasive each time I thought about it. Sometimes a person behaves completely paradoxically. He has heart issues but smokes 2 packs of cigarettes a day. He can't pay his mortgage but takes out a loan for a new car. Keeps leaving dirty socks over his bedroom knowing his wife is about to file for divorce. Just as paradoxically, I wanted Michael to fail. It was something like the primal jealousy in Australopithecus male feels toward a more successful tribesman who gets all the food and females. Of course, I knew that right now Catherine's life depended in large part on Michael, but I couldn't do anything about the feeling. Primal instincts are hard to shut down. Humans had only developed civilization about 10,000 years ago. The modern miracles of scientific and technological progress had taken place only over the past 200 years. Before that, our ancestors fought for survival and the transmission of their genes in conditions that were very different from the comfort offered by 20th century Tokyo. Is it really wise to fault evolution for taking it slow? Class hadn't ended yet, and I had really hoped I wouldn't find Himita at home. I had nothing to talk about with her, and her persistence was irking me more and more. Love cannot be forced. I opened the door and was immediately on guard. The hall seemed to look the same, but there was subtle wrongness to it that kept me from relaxing. Maybe it was what a custodian would feel patrolling his museum, trying to figure out what was wrong before finally noticing one of the paintings was off by a couple degrees. I listened in on the dusty silence of the home I knew so well. Something unfamiliar was coming from the kitchen. Not even a sound, but more like a feeling. A light vibration on the floor or a breeze. Carefully walked forward. Not that I wasn't afraid at all, but I decided that I had nowhere else to go. Unless there was real mortal danger, I would fight for my home to the end. Sitting behind the table in my kitchen was a guy I didn't know. He was pretty young, looked to be barely 25, but the emaciated, tired face added another 10 to that. "Who are you?" I breathed out. The guy looked at me with eyes full of contempt, as he'd been waiting for an office worker for an hour, and then saw him coming back from dinner, casually picking his teeth with a folded wrapper. "Nikolai Anakin." "You're in my house. Of course I'm Anakin." "I have a message from Kobayashi Dono." Of course I should have expected that. How could I have not thought about it sooner? Blackmailing Kobayashi Ellie isn't like threatening a classmate that you'll tell on him for smoking. I must stop blackmailing Ellie-sama immediately and hand all the negatives over to me. I know what you're talking about. You're going to save both of us a lot of time. Stop playing stupid. I'm in no hurry. He continued in the same tone that sent shivers down my spine. We can resolve this issue the easy way or the hard way, quickly or very slowly. Even if I wanted to, I don't have the negatives. He was persuasive. He clearly worked for Kobayashi Corporation for a reason. Where are they then? He was asking, that probably meant his friends were yet to visit Michael. It was just a matter of time. If they found me, they would find him. Somewhere secure. If anything happens to me, that doesn't work. What? If anything happens to me, my friends will give the negatives to the right people. That doesn't work in real life. Why? I smiled dumbly. Because when your dead body's at the bottom of Tokyo Bay, you won't care about any photos. Humans by nature only care for their immediate safety. Fair enough, I muttered. So I'll ask again, where are the negatives? I don't have and never had them. I'm serious. Then where are they? When things go really sour, survival instinct kicks in. I knew I wouldn't be able to save Catherine having been sent to feed the fishes. They're at my friend's acquaintance's place. I wonder what Michael would think of this turn of events. What if he had dragged me into this just to frame me and make me a scapegoat? I'd like to talk to your friend. What a coincidence. We will call him and ask him to come here with the negatives and all the copies of the photos. Does that work? I smirked warily. He's not an idiot. He'll know something's wrong. At least I'll have a chance to do the right thing. The guy responded without batting an eye. And when we give you the negatives, will you let us go? Of course. Just like that. Without the photos, you're no threat to Kobayashi Dono. There was Michael's father, too. Apparently they didn't know anything about him yet. In any case, he's still at school. Classes aren't over yet. I looked at the clock. Then we will wait. Take a seat. Thank you, but I prefer to stand. The guy didn't look like a dangerous fighter. In a different situation, I would have figured I could handle him. Yeah, you said that about Michael, too. Just a couple days, I thought the same about Michael. Yeah. Also, he definitely looks like the kind of guy who's, he definitely fits, like, the assassin look, you know? He has that look about him that's just like, yeah, he could stealthily take care of you. Like it was nothing. You should take the load off your feet. It just feels weird being offered a seat in my own home. Since I'm temporarily not in charge here, I wouldn't want to abuse your hospitality. Gaijin. He scoffed. My brain was using 120% of its capacity, and all for nothing. I was imagining hundreds of possible scenarios, and only a few were in my favor. Whether you can apply logic from detective novels to real life or not, getting rid of witnesses seemed like a good move. I had nowhere to expect help from. Maybe if Himita decided to drop by. What then? You just get another hostage. No matter how bad our relationship became, the thought that something might happen to her made my heart ache. I just remembered I don't know his phone number. I knew it a minute ago. Now you've suddenly forgot it. No, we just see each other at school every day. I never had a reason to call him, so I've never asked. So what do you suggest? We can still make it to the school before the end of class, if you don't mind. Sometime the guy kept looking at me, with that same indifferent expression on his face. That's a gun. He jumped from the chair and pulled out a pistol. Stop pushing your luck. Here it was, mortal danger. I'm not. Yeah, I kind of figured it'd be Ryunosuke. Suddenly the garden door opened, and Ryunosuke-san appeared in the doorway with a pistol in his hand. The guy turned around, but everything happened so quickly that he couldn't even react properly. Oh. What happened next seemed to occur in slow motion. There was the sound of a gunshot. The guy flinched like someone pricked him with a needle. Ito pulled the trigger several more times. God damn. Finally, the intruder fell to the table and then to the floor. Ito was so fast the guy never had a chance. Ryunosuke-san, I breathed out. Ito said nothing, walked to the table, carelessly pushed the dead body aside as if it were a bag of garbage, grabbed the chair, sat down, and said with disgust in his voice, Amateurs! He looked at me like he had just realized I was there too. Nikolai, please take a seat. This time I couldn't refuse. Ito wiped his gun with a handkerchief and put it into a jacket pocket. Thank you, I mumbled, although it was hardly appropriate in this situation. You have nothing to thank me for. You should thank Himitsu, if anyone. Although as far as I know, the two of you don't have the best relationship right now. He sighed and carefully examined the kitchen. I offered you help, Nikolai, but you decided to do it your way. I have no right to judge your choice, but I can't ignore its consequences. You're too far into something you shouldn't have gotten involved in. Your search for Winters' daughter could cause problems for people you don't want to mess with. Then why did you stop him? Asked grimly, looking askance at the body. Because although our interests mostly align, we often disagree on the details. Your interests align? With whose? Kobayashi Corporation's? Ito didn't respond, and I could clearly see with shrewdness and cold determination in his eyes. Nikolai, haven't you noticed that the more you know, the more problems you create for others? What kind of problems was Catherine creating? You chase ideals of justice, but you forget that they often clash with objective reality. And humans tend to choose what's more important to them personally. You sound just like that guy. In any case, now you understand that these aren't empty threats. Nikolai, where are these photos? I don't have them. Do you think I wouldn't have given them to him if I did? God, Ryunosuke-san, I would have given him anything to finally be left alone. But you do know where they are, right? Michael has them. He's my classmate. I no longer had any desire to put myself at risk to protect him. And we're going to wait for him together. It might take a while. He wasn't going to drop by my place today. Then call him. You know the number, don't you? I don't want to tempt fate for a second time. Yes, I do. Even though it was too early to give up, it'd be better to pretend I was cooperating with Ito. We walked to the hall. I dialed Michael's number, but nobody answered. And the receiver to Ryunosuke-san that he could hear it for himself. I hope you didn't dial the wrong number. What'll happen to me when you get the photos? Ito winced like he found a fly in his ramen. At least now you can imagine what will happen to you if they end up in the wrong hands. You know, you can be convincing if you want to. That doesn't make you sound any more trustworthy. The time for trust is past. Unfortunately for you, I no longer care whether you trust me or not. I was desperately trying to figure out what was on his mind. If Ito just needed the photos, wouldn't it be easier to wait for the guy from the corporation to do all the dirty work? And why would he kill him then? I doubted they'd be happy about it. I'm wondering, is it easy to work multiple sides, or does Kobayashi Corporation decide Japan's politics these days? Ito frowned, but his anger only fanned mine. He felt like a child standing behind bulletproof glass, feeling safe enough to throw stones at gorillas. I don't think Himitsu would want to live in a world where money rules everything. Nikolai. By the way, she knows Catherine. Maybe they don't have the best relationship, but I'm sure she wouldn't be happy to hear that Catherine was tortured to death in the corporation's dungeons for the sake of what, actually, Ryunosuke-san? You just don't understand how much is at stake. He replied as if making an excuse. You're right, I don't. But I'd very much like to. I'd like to know what's important enough to justify the death of my parents and now maybe Catherine. Fucking hell, you're just methodically stripping away everything important to me. Ito's hand slowly moved toward the pocket with the gun. That's when the front door flew open. Apparently, in my righteous fury, I entered the approaching steps, and Himitsu appeared on the doorstep. Papa? She said, surprised, emphasizing both vowels, as if she couldn't decide whether to speak English or Japanese. Ryunosuke-san, in turn, clearly didn't expect to meet his daughter here. I, in contrast, had been expecting Himitsu and hoping she would save me. Nika-ken? There was a lot to accuse Ito of, but it would never harm me in Himitsu's presence. Unfortunately for you, Ryunosuke-san, I have to bid you farewell. I've got things to do. I jumped over the porch and broke into a run. Nika-ken? I could hear Himitsu shouting after me, but it was too late to stop me. But despite my confidence, I seemed to hear the crack of bullets fired at me. I had neither the desire nor energy to look back, but the imaginary shots went silent only when my house disappeared around the corner. I ran a few blocks without rest, and only stopped when I completely ran out of strength. It took me a few moments to come to my senses and for the blood in my temples to stop pounding like crazy. So there was no going home from here on. Every day things were getting worse, and the destruction of my normal life accelerated. Sometimes the memories of what I previously found boring brought me nothing but a bitter smile. You live in interesting times. And the reason for that, at least indirectly, was Catherine's return. That mean that everything could have stayed the same if we had never met again? How much more could I endure for the faint hope of love? Even our last days spent together resembled inertia more than a new start. Katya, what are you doing to me? I muttered when looking for a telephone box. But despite everything, the mere thought of Catherine ran a pleasant electric charge down my spine, leaving behind calm confidence, contentment, and a sense of gratitude. Even our separation, all the hurdles of the last week couldn't shake my love for Katya. A love that was stupid, foolish, in many ways was irrational and even destructive. It was only thanks to it that I felt alive, like an adrenaline addict standing atop Tokyo Tower with a parachute behind his back. I quickly found the box. By this time, Michael might have already returned from school. I was particularly worried about his phone being tapped, because as it seemed, neither the corporation nor the Japanese knew about his involvement, which was strange in and of itself. So strange that I couldn't come up with a single, even remotely believable explanation for that. However, nobody picked up the phone, just like last time. I bought a bottle of water and a chocolate bar from a vending machine. If I wasn't mistaken, that was the first food I'd eaten that day. An empty wallet does not delight the eye or inspire optimism. Although if I had to live on the streets, it was high time to learn to survive without money. Dialed Michael's number again, but to no avail. Most likely he just hadn't returned from school yet. How long was I supposed to wait? It wasn't safe to stand in the middle of the street, a couple blocks away from home, if, of course, Ito had already taken measures and organized a pursuit. On the other hand, I couldn't know what Himito had told him. I had no doubt she wouldn't keep quiet. In any case, I would have preferred to wait for Michael in a safer place. I couldn't think of a safer place than the apartment of Catherine's mother. My idea was that the Japanese definitely wouldn't try breaking into her place. After all, they worked on the same project. Not that it stopped them from kidnapping Katya. Yeah. Anyway, I had no other options, very little time to think. I reached her place quickly, even while trying not to run to not attract any attention. Yes. Mrs. Winter's voice sounded all business from the intercom. You ever go to work? I sighed. Nikolai, our encounters become so regular that I begin to worry you're interested in me rather than Catherine. Not in a joking mood, please open the door. The magnetic locks clicked with an unpleasant sound, the door opened. Ms. Winters met with a kind of unnatural hospitality. I'm about to eat. Are you hungry? I don't know what Catherine was feeding you, but I'm not much of a cook, so usually I order takeout. What's she even talking about? So do you want to eat? Yes, thank you. I replied automatically. I really was starving. The chocolate bar only teased my appetite, but was it appropriate to just stuff myself with pizza, hamburgers, or whatever she was ordering? I noticed once again that some things I did and said went straight from neurons to reality without any input from my consciousness. I wonder if that was the case for everyone, or if I was a special. As Catherine's mother talked to a restaurant on the phone, the atmosphere became more and more awkward. Sushi? Why sushi? Finally, she placed the order and hung up. Well, we are in Japan. Alright, my bad. I said sarcastically and sat on the sofa without permission. So, what is it this time, Nikolai? I know kidnapped Catherine's Japanese intelligence, or the corporation, or both. A man from the corporation was waiting for me at my house, although for a different reason. I briefly told her about Michael, Ellie, the photos, and our plan with the blackmail. You're unbelievable. She laughed. Every new story is stupider than the last. I was stuffing myself with sushi, barely chewing it. I have to say, they were delivered unexpectedly quickly. It's not just about me. When that guy took out the pistol, Ito appeared, and the excessive amount of wasabi made me tear up. I hope he'll at least clean up after himself. If I'm not about to go back home anytime soon, I don't want to know there's a dead body rotting in my kitchen. It was strange to tell Cheryl Winters all that, and to trust her as the last person who could help me. After all, it wasn't that long ago that I was her prisoner. I didn't expect that from Ito. She frowned. You don't seem surprised at all that they have Catherine. I had my suspicions. And of course, you forgot to tell me. Threw the chopsticks on the table so hard they flew to the other end of the room. However, Mrs. Winters didn't even raise an eyebrow. And what have you achieved? I'm at least doing something instead of sitting on the sofa eating fucking sushi. Even though that was exactly what I was doing. I think at least one person suffered because of your enthusiasm. It's his own fault, I replied, much less sure of myself. Oh, Nikolai. She put her chopsticks away and wiped her lips with a napkin. Can your friend be trusted? Yes. I mean, I'm not sure. I hope so. It's just somewhat strange that you had guests and he didn't. I thought that too. Mrs. Winters, what is the project people have died for? What is this project people have died for? People die for what they believe in. It's not as if Oppenheimer was fond of genocide, just that other people believed the atomic bomb could stop the spread of communism. you want me to stop? Do you want me to stop worrying and love the bomb? To be fair, I don't give a damn about communism, democracy, or atomic bombs. I just want to save Catherine. But you seem to be more interested in abstract concepts and political theory. There are factions within the project that don't agree on the direction it's going in. Even though all of them generally want the same thing, scheming is unavoidable. It disgusts me that Catherine has become their bargaining chip, but I assure you she isn't in danger. I guess it's my fault for bringing her back to Japan, but that's what she wanted. What? As soon as she found out that I was going back, she demanded to come with me. Ms. Winters didn't notice my surprise immediately. You didn't know? She grinned. Catherine. Always complicating things, although I was the same at her age. So Katya wanted to come back. But that meant... No, I couldn't believe that so easily after all she'd said. A feeling of deep bliss spread through my body against my will. I, again, felt that sweet moment of first love. Why such sincerity? Right now, Cheryl Winters resembled a villain from a cartoon, revealing her evil plan to the protagonist, fully assured she'd already won. So what are you planning to do? Once they realize that their actions are pointless, they will release Catherine. What do they need? She squinted slyly. Nikolai, you're not expecting me to tell you classified information, are you? No, of course not. It's just me everyone always demands stuff from. Either way, I can't be walking in the dark anymore. I don't know if you approve of our relationship, since you say one thing today and another tomorrow, but I really want to believe you trust your daughter's choices, if only a little. If Catherine didn't tell you she wanted to come back, it seems she still doesn't know how she feels. I didn't respond. Cheryl Winters was right, and I had nothing to counter with. What are you going to do next? You are going to do something, right? Yes, you need to discuss the situation with my colleagues. She squinted again. With people who can help. And you should stay here for now. There's no safer place for you in the entirety of Tokyo. It would be stupid to argue with her, but I still scowled and looked down like a capricious child forced to accept his punishment. There should be some food in the fridge, I think. I'll try to drop by the supermarket on the way back. Mrs. Winters, you don't have to. Indeed. She smiled, grabbed her bag, and left, leaving me alone. I felt quite uncomfortable in the unfamiliar apartment, even though it was Catherine's. Well, they'd only just recently moved in. The walls, furniture, lamps, and curtains had yet to become saturated with that spirit of comfort and coziness you can feel in a lived house. I walked to the bookcase and randomly picked up a few books. All of them turned out to be unread and seemingly had come with the apartment. The TV was shining like new, and the dishes in the cupboard had never been used. The place resembled a hotel room more than a private accommodation. It seemed like the last time somebody cooked in the kitchen had been before the Winters family moved in. In the fridge I found long-expired milk, a packet of miso, and some spaghetti. Why? It wasn't much, but I wasn't hungry at all, and if not for Mrs. Winters' words, I probably wouldn't have ever checked the place for food. All in all, it was clear that work was Cheryl Winters' first, second, and third priority. There was no time for anything else. Had that always been the case? I tried to recall anything, but couldn't. All my time spent with Catherine felt like one bright flash of love and passion. I didn't quite keep track of her mother's schedule. Despite what happened to my parents, who'd always been a normal, happy family, is it easy to grow up with a role model like Cheryl Winters around? Of course, Katya had a father, and he was still alive, I think, but as I understood, her parents divorced right after Catherine had been born. National interests above personal ones, the bare minimum of belongings, the bare minimum of emotional attachment, constant relocation. Mrs. Winters spoke of communism with such disgust, but she herself sacrificed her life for the sake of public good. However, it was her choice. It wasn't my place to judge it, but Catherine had never been given one. While exploring the apartment, I stopped at two closed doors opposite from one another. Behind one of them was a normal bedroom, to find dozens of photos of similar rooms in the windows of every real estate agency in Tokyo. If you didn't already know someone lived there, you'd have a hard time figuring it out. At first glance, it seemed the room held no personal belongings, so I concluded that was Mrs. Winters' bedroom. Then the other one had to be. I tightly gripped the handle, and the cold of the metal burned my skin. What if the curse of Tutankhamun awaited me behind the door? But there was only a similar bedroom with a few slight differences, like a school uniform on the bed, and a few bags in the corner, and makeup on the table in front of the mirror. I was standing in the doorway, feeling like I was intruding on a personal space. You can love another person as much as you like, but in the end, we enter and leave this world alone. There are always places in your soul not meant for the eyes of others. I was sure that Catherine wasn't planning on organizing a tour for me anytime soon, so I, with considerable effort, closed the door and returned to the living room.